Hey everyone, this is Eric Brennan from the RPM Podcast. If you're looking for a dependable full auto repair and preventative maintenance center, then you need to check out O'Shea's Auto Repair in Wall, New Jersey. The family man himself, Tim O'Shea, has been providing the highest quality of automotive repair since 2000 on both domestic and imported cars, trucks, and SUVs. From race cars to street cars, O'Shea's Auto Repair covers it all. For more information, visit their website at o'sheasautorepair.com. O'Shea's Auto Repair, supporter of the RPM Podcast and proud sponsor of the O'Shea Auto Repair Factory stops at Wall Stadium Speedway.
And here we are again, episode 181 of the RPM Podcast. It is 7:53 p.m. on a Monday night, August 17th, 2020. I'm Scott Riggleman, the host of the show in Manchester, New Jersey. And we got the birthday boy, Tim Riggleman, up in Farmdale, New Jersey. Tim, how are you?
Good. Ready to go.
Happy birthday. I know it was yesterday. It was a big day for you. 49 now, right?
Yes, sir. 49.
See, I know that, Josh, because he's my brother, and he's 2 years older than me, and I'm 47, so I'm pretty smart. And we have our producer of the show, Joshua Matthews, down in Waretown, New Jersey. Josh, how have you been?
Tired mostly, but otherwise okay.
I got some very, very, very great news yesterday, and no, it has nothing to do with my big brother's birthday. My boy Marco Andretti won the pole for the Indy 500.
How did he pull that off?
He's been fast all week over there, Josh. He's been the fastest in practice, fastest in qualifying, fastest in second qualifying, fastest in the practice after qualifying. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's still early. He's going to find a way to screw this up. But as of right now, he is every time that car touches the track, he is the fastest guy over there.
Yeah, but my question is, like, who did they pay off, or where has this speed been for,
It's funny you say that, because I looked at the line, the starting lineup for the Indy 500. I've been so busy with my own race, and I wanted to see. I know they got a full field at 33, but I don't know if there was 35 cars there and 2 got bumped and went home, or if they just had 33 and everybody qualified. I don't know if you know that information, Josh, but
33 showed up, and they only take 33, so it's a match made in heaven.
See, that usually happens at Indy too. If there's like 30 cars, somebody will scramble and put 3 cars together because it pays so much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
not this year.
Yeah, not this year, but it's a full field. I was just wondering if there was any like bump day or anything like that. But I did notice when I looked at the lineup for the Indy 500, everybody else that drives an Andretti car, it's listed as Andretti Motorsports. But Marco's car is listed as Andretti Motorsports and like Herder Racing and like somebody else like Lanigan or something like that. Huh. So there's a little bit more effort put in that car, because I noticed there's a couple other owners listed on that. So maybe they bought technology or money or better equipment and got Marco going faster. But no, I'm not saying the other Andretti cars are slow, because they're pretty fast too. They all qualify towards the front too. But this is something that caught my eye, that there was other names listed as the owner on Marco's car and not on the other Andretti cars. So maybe that's where they found their speed. And maybe it's like a group effort for that car, they're getting help from another team, and maybe some more financial support for that team too.
It's very possible. I just, I'd wonder, would that continue, or based on how it turned out, or based on what we've already seen now with the speed, would they do the same for future races, just trying to get him up there? Is it a question of the talent's there, but they just haven't had the equipment to back up the talent, or are we going to find out if talent's the problem?
And he was well into the 230s. It was like 231 and a half, almost 232. And that's the fastest they've gone over there in a long time. So they're really flying over there right now.
When is is it next weekend, the race?
I think it's this Sunday coming up. I think there's like a ton of racing this Sunday coming up. Like there's like an Xfinity race in the morning, the Indy 500, and then a Cup race at night. It's something crazy. There's a lot of racing going on this weekend.
It's definitely it's not the same as having the Coke 600, but NASCAR's gonna be at Dover without fans, so and then you have no fans at Indy, and
it's gonna be weird. I'm starting to get used to it, though. It really doesn't affect my life, because I'm watching it on TV anyway. I'm starting to get used to it. But Tim, I don't know if you noticed, if you watched the Daytona race at all, but there was campers and stuff there. There was people in campers. And when the red flag was out for the Lightning during the Xfinity race, I think it was, or the Cup race, or whichever one it was, I seen some people in the grandstands there.
I didn't see.
definitely saw the campers. I didn't see any people.
I saw people standing on top of the campers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but,
there was some campers there with fans around the campers.
I'm trying to think. I just, like you said, I really just saw the camper. I didn't see anybody in the grandstands, but I know that, as much as the Lightning rule is in effect to protect the fans, it's also there to protect the crews too. So that's why.
All right, I just wanted to touch base on Marco getting the pole real quick because it's kind of turned into a thing on the show where I'm always been a Andretti family racing fan, and Marco's the last of the ones racing right now, and I'm kind of stuck rooting for him, and he struggles, and finally got some good news. I feel like like when someone's a fan of the Jets football team, you struggle. So when you finally win a game, you got to brag about it. So I finally got something to brag about. Well, my guy Marco, we're on the pole for the Indy 500.
Now there's money just for getting the pole.
Oh, is there really?
Well, a lot of one-off, or I shouldn't say one-off, but special event races or high-profile races, you get like a pole award or something. So I'm sure there's a I don't know if you'd really call it a purse or not, but I'm sure there's prizes and stuff associated with getting.
Yeah, but here we go. We always talk about the Andretti bad luck at Indy, and here we go. Finally, Marco's the fastest, wins a pole. I think it might even been like the first time Andretti's been on the pole in like 35 years, or if at all. I did hear. I think it's been a long time since Mario was on the pole. There's a good chance that Marco can win the Indy 500. I mean, a lot can happen yet, but we'll see. He's definitely on pace to have a good chance of winning that. Watching Andretti finally win the Indy 500 again, after a very, very long time, and it's for half the purse,
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the big articles that I had read prior was at least Fernando Alonso didn't have to panic this year like they did when they missed it last year, because all the cars made the field, so they can concentrate on just making the car better as opposed to doing weird changes.
And that's a very good point, Josh. Who knows? Maybe the Andretti team were the ones that just still spent time and money on qualifying setup and went for it, where the other teams could have been conservative and just been in race trim and be like, hey, we're all in the race anyway. It really doesn't matter where we start.
Yeah.
And they just went out in race trim, did their qualifying laps and called it a day, where the Andretti teams could have put full focus on qualifying like they would if the purse was still at 100% and, you had to make the show,
Well, I think the best outcome is for anybody that bought a suite to entertain, their customers. Remember last year when I think it wasn't at Alonso's team, and they spent like $30,000 on all that stuff.
I think it was $50,000. I think it was $50,000 on a suite, and they didn't even qualify for the race.
Yeah, so they had to entertain all these people that came out. So at least they're in the race this year.
They're in the race this time, and there's nobody in the suite.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to do the Cup real quick. We're just going to get through some of the NASCAR stuff real quick, and then we'll get to the Garden State Classic. We know that's what everybody really wants to hear, but Josh is the producer, and he wants to do the NASCAR stuff.
I thought everybody cared about the Indy talk and Marco.
He's a huge Brian Jr. fan, and he definitely wants Brian back in the NASCAR fold. All right, so we'll start right off with the trucks. A lot of road course ringers and some great racing to the finish. I didn't see I did see the truck race was on. I was working on my race car Sunday, and I just turned it on to see when the Cup race was coming on. And to my surprise, at noon, it was a doubleheader. The truck race was on during the day at noon, and then when that race was over, there was I think they even went to Indy for practice for a little bit or something like that, and then the Cup race came on. So I did have the truck race on in my garage. But I was working on my race stuff, so I wasn't paying much attention to it. Josh, did you get to watch it?
Yeah, I watched most of it. Overall, I thought it was a pretty good race. It was one of those things. The truck series is, you call it the lower series, whatever, but it was exciting. All these guys really battling it out and trying to learn, how to handle these cars. I personally think the Xfinity race was a little bit better. Mainly because they had to deal with some wet conditions. But the truck race was a lot of fun. And I know I put in, there's a bunch of, they had some, typical road course guys that would come in, which we've seen for years when you'd have Marcos Ambrose come in and fill in for whoever because he's good at road courses. So they did the same thing with the trucks and the Xfinity. But overall, it was fun. I mean, watching those trucks, because for some reason, the bus stop on the backstretch became this huge deal. Which, I mean, it's been there. We're used to it from the Rolex 24 at Daytona. We know about it. We've seen it there. But for some reason, all these stock car guys had major trouble with it. They would overshoot it, and with the rain, it rutted up really bad.
You know what? I have a few laps on Daytona. I did the Richard Petty driving experience down there, and I tell you what, it probably sneaks up on them. That chicane on the back straightaway, because looking down it, you just see this long straightaway going into the bank, and they not forget about it, but it probably just comes up on them so much quicker than they think it's gonna. I was kind of thinking about that when I was watching the Cup race. I think NASCAR should call that like alligator alley or something like that, and put like a big stuffed alligator in the middle there and see if it gets hit or anything like that, something like that.
Yeah.
I definitely think they could spice that part of the track up a little bit by a cool nickname like Alligator Alley or something like that, because like you said, a lot of crazy stuff happens back there, and it's like kind of like the boring part of back straightaway, so give it a little more excitement back there to give it a cool nickname.
Yeah, but it bit a lot of people. It really did.
Yeah.
A lot of guys overshot it. A lot of splitters were lost there, especially in the Xfinity race. The trucks kind of, I think it was the Xfinity race. They had a, not to jump around too much, but there was a guy who's normally a road course racer, and this was his first time in a Cup car driving for Richard Childress, and these cars are so much heavier, so the braking is a lot different.
But Josh, are we skipping to the Cup already? Or
no. I just wanted to. The one thing that stood out was this one guy who had been doing pretty well, and he was. We talk about picking somebody to watch. He was a good person to pick to watch, and he.
But Josh, you got a little tie into that guy. That guy was Kaz Grala.
No.
Oh no.
No. I got to bring up. If I bring up the results, I'll remember the name. But he he just overshot it a bit, and man, that car, all four wheels went off the ground, and did kind of that. Like,
sometimes it's amazing they don't flip over. They catch so much air, and it's so quick and at a radical speed. You think they would just flip over,
Yeah. Let me see if I can find the name here. I'll remember it when I see it. Was it Buford? No, there were a couple guys that stood out there, and I think it was the Buford guy that literally flew through the air. It was tough to watch because it looked like, because we've seen the video when the splitter catches, and it did there. And it launched him up in the air. I mean, I just imagine that's like hitting a wall right there. You get thrown into the belts. And then he went across the bus stop into the tire wall, beyond that. And, it was a double hit. That ended his day.
All right, why don't you give us the results of the trucks here?
Yeah, absolutely. So the truck series, like I said, overall pretty good race. Sheldon Creed gets the win over Brett Moffitt. That was a close race to the end. The last couple laps, Moffitt he ran him clean, but he was on him. So if you get a chance to watch like a highlight video, that's definitely worth it. Followed by Lassard, Crafton, Hill, Ankrum, Enfinger, Kligerman, Legassi Jr., and Stuart Friesen, who had some issues earlier. They actually had the hood up. I think they had a loose wire or something that they had to.
That's actually a good run for Stewart. He's been struggling a little bit for a New England Northeast region dirt modified driver to go down to Daytona and finish 10th in the road course. That's pretty cool. Also, Scott Legacy Jr., he had a good finish in there, and that's the truck that our buddy Danny Bone's going to be driving the rest of the year. So that's proves that truck's got some speed too.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Oh, and it was between Pardus uh, and Bamber were the two Xfinity guys that really had the trouble that I was talking about in the.
Pardis.
Yes. Yes.
That's actually Dan Pardis' son. Dan Pardis raced ARCA for a very long time.
Okay.
They're a family out of Florida, and Dan Pardis ran ARCA. He actually sat on the pole in a Cup race one year too, driving like a Hooters car. It was like a real rare thing. He was like a rookie, and he won a Daytona pole. Dan Pardis that Pardis family is very big in racing down in Florida.
Okay.
Super late models, all that stuff. They're real good
Yeah.
racers, and I guess the son's coming up now, and I guess he's more of a road racer because I noticed he even did like a couple other road races, and he finished very well on them.
Yeah, honestly, seriously, if you get a chance to watch the highlights, because Scott, I know you were busy on Saturday, with Wall, but it was definitely worth going back and watching at least the highlights. There was a lot of action, and everybody else talks about the pit, and they didn't have the crazy pit stop rules about minimum 60 seconds or whatever because all the
and there
series
again
were there.
because the Cup guys were there too.
Exactly.
All three divisions were there, so there was plenty of a talent pool to pick people out of.
Exactly.
Did you hear Sheldon Creed's Victory Lane interview? Did you hear what he said?
Oh, the S word.
Yeah, he said, I'm glad I won for my guys because I tear up a lot of shit.
Yeah, they apologized.
He's honest.
Yeah, no, he was straight up about it. And but he thanked Moffitt for running them clean and all that because, it was tough. I mean, and the Xfinity series, there were a few people that were ticked off at the end. The truck series,
but
seemed
like
you
know what else Sheldon Creed's popular for racing? He's big in that Robbie Gordon super truck thing.
Okay, yeah.
So really, like you're saying, this race was very close to what the Robbie Gordon super truck series is. You know what I'm saying?
Honestly, the Xfinity race might as well have been with how much they were in the dirt. But again, that played into the rain. There were a couple times, was it Allgaier or somebody went just barely put their wheels into the grass, and that screwed them up for that. They just slid across in front of everybody.
All right, let's move on to the Xfinity because my brother's falling asleep and it'll be his next year's birthday by the time we get to the local stuff.
I'm trying to think. As far as Xfinity, pretty much everybody in the race went off the track at some point. It was it was absolute chaos, but it was so fun to watch because you're watching these professionals have trouble with it, and that's it just makes it a little bit more human for the rest of us. So I'm not saying that I'd do much better, but I'd certainly go out there and have fun doing it. But a shout out to Natalie Decker because she actually finished 20th. She finished running. She got involved with one spin off in the the truck race. Yeah, but otherwise she did.
Here's the Xfinity top 10 there.
Absolutely. Austin Cindric got the win over Jones, Gregson, Allmendinger. My mouse is not working. Andy Lally was there.
Andy Lally, that's the Andy Zeus car that Andy Sykes recently quit, and they've had like 2 top 10s now in a row since Andy Sykes has left, and we're good friends with Andy. He's been on the podcast with us. But then again, Andy Lowry's a road course driver, so now we'll see what they do when they go to an oval track without Andy Sykes calling the shots,
Right, yeah. So following Lally was Clements, then Herbst, Harrison Burton, Justin Allgaier, and Matt Snyder. Trying to think who else was. I think wasn't Tagliani there, or was he in the Cup race?
I have no idea.
Looks like Jeffrey Earnhardt, just for all those Earnhardt fans. He finished 32nd. I just figured I'd throw that out there.
How about that guy from Mahwah, New Jersey?
That guy. He finished 26th.
Okay.
Just so you know.
All right, then we're moving on to the Cup real quick. I tell you what, Chase Elliott killed him. He checked out. He was flying. He ran a real good race.
He was. And that race had a couple interesting moments, but it didn't play out the way that I would have expected it to. I don't know about you, but just with some of the strategy calls and what the way it played out just wasn't what I expected to happen.
One of them was Clint Boyer. I'm surprised he ran
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah. Well, I think he's happy just to be driving anything at this point. Oh, before we forget, talking about Daytona, there was apparently a replay of I think it was the 2010 Daytona 500 was on.
Yeah, and Greg Biffle tweeted out that he's going to try to run the 2021 one.
Okay, yeah. So, well, if that happens,
he might change his mind after I beat him in that Enduro in October. So,
well, if that happens, we'll be the first because we're going to get him on the show again, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I did see that tweet. I hope he does put something together. But he did say that last year, too, and he never showed up with anything at Daytona.
He said he was showing up with his gear, but then he didn't show up with a car. He just had his gear.
Yeah.
So he was there more for a backup driver, I think, than anything else. Actually, another notable finish, notable position or driver, Jimmy Johnson was fourth.
I tell you what, he was third, too, with about a lap to go. And then in the final results, I saw he was fourth. So he did get passed very late in the race. I thought he was going to have a top three. Another one, too, Bubba Wallace was like seventh or eighth. And I'm watching the ticker, and he's like seventh or eighth. And then when the final results show up, he was like 25th or something like that. So he got spun on the last lap, too.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what happened there. They never even showed it.
That's the problem, which with the factory stocks we've talked about, they kind of hold off on throwing a yellow because and here you have plenty of time to get back onto the track and get going.
Right.
So yeah, there wasn't any throwing a caution and them getting caught up. Like they had to try to fight back, and if you spun or went off the track towards the end, sucks to be you.
Yeah. All right, here's what the top 10 for the Cup guys.
So, as we mentioned, Chase Elliott got the win, followed by Denny Hamlin, who was strong all day. Truex Jr., also strong. Then Jimmy Johnson, Buescher, Boyer, Kaz Gralla, noteworthy. William Byron, Joey Logano, and Michael McDowell, which that's a name we haven't heard in the top 10 in a while.
Yeah, and well, he's pretty good on the road courses, but I think it was Joey Logano that spun Bubba Wallace there at the end of the race. Because I know there was a little bit of a Twitter thing going on with them too, so I think it was Joey. Kaz Gralla, he finished seventh, Josh?
Yes.
He was subbing for Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon, unfortunately,
he got the COVID.
He tested positive for COVID. And I thought Kaz Gralla was a very weird choice. I didn't see any connection there, and I wonder how they got Kaz Gralla. I mean, it worked out great. The kid did awesome. He's good at road racing. Joshua, what I was going to say about Kaz Gralla is his father has ownership in the Millville road course track.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So their family's pretty rich in the road racing industry, and he did a great job. I mean, for a while he was leading, and I remember coming on the radio and says, "Are we leading this thing?" And his crew's like, "Yeah, we're in the lead right now." He ran a flawless race, and he had a great finish. So that was pretty cool that he got a chance to do it. But the reason they had Kaz Gralla in there is NASCAR had a weird rule this weekend where you were only allowed to race one race. So they couldn't even get an Xfinity guy or a truck guy because they didn't want Kyle Busch in the Xfinity car getting laps on the track. It wouldn't be fair to a guy like Kevin Harvick because they had no practice or nothing down there.
Yeah, which, by the way, Harvick did not have the best day.
Yeah. So Richard Childress had to get somebody who wasn't racing that weekend. So they got Kaz Gralla to do it, and it was a great pick. I think that's going to launch that kid into something else. He hasn't been racing much this year, and I think after that good run, I think some people might look at him now and put him in a car,
Yeah, that'll definitely put more eyes on him. So I guess it goes to show that even just being at the track, we always joke about, you always bring your gear because you never know. And this could be one of those cases where, it worked out. And, and putting on a good performance may really work in this guy's favor. So,
right.
So that's really all I had. I did want to mention that. I'm sorry. I just wanted to mention that Kyle Busch continued his bad luck streak.
But he was running good. He was running real good, and then
the bad luck got him.
Broke off the rear of it.
Yeah,
I mean, he hit the brakes and the brake caliper blew off and blew both tires out.
Yeah, no, it sucks. I mean, I feel bad for him, but
And
he's
another quick Kyle Busch side note. He was wearing the ugliest fire suit I ever seen in my life. He looked like the poop emoji.
I did
You gotta
not
look
see
at it, Josh. It was a brown Snickers
Oh yes,
fire
yes,
suit.
yes, I
and
did see it.
It looked horrible. He looked like a UPS man. It looked horrible. Anyway, real quick, you're just saying, if you're a driver, whenever you're at the racetrack, bring your gear. That kind of had happened at Evergreen Speedway. I don't know if you caught it, Josh, but our buddy and friend of the show and the guy that cuts my grass, Paul Hartwick, the old Paul Hartwick came out at Evergreen Speedway, and he got in an altercation during practice, and he got parked for the day.
Yeah, I did see that.
And he just grabbed the street stock guy to drive his car, and the guy ended up finishing third with it. So, like you said, sometimes you just got to be at the right place at the right time and ready to race, You never know when you show up at a racetrack, you might be driving a car that's capable of winning,
Didn't I see Larry Spencer got to hop in an old car of his?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I think he got to hop in his old car and take a few laps and have some fun. So I'll try to bring up the results as we go along here, but that was good to see as well. It's a shame for Paul or for Hartwig there, and then Paulie didn't have a good day either. He had
now I watched that video. He went into the corner and he got into somebody and he pulled in the infield and they just left him sit there. They never threw the yellow or nothing. So yeah, the Hartwigs had a tough day up at Evergreen, and they had trailer troubles on the way up there, and the battery was dead on the modified when they unloaded. Some days when your day starts bad, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse.
Would it have been better just to stay home that day?
You just never know. Some days your days get better and you got to fight through it, and some days it just never gets turned around.
Yeah.
I felt bad for Paul. He works hard to get his family up there to race, and he just had a bad day. I hope he just shakes it off and keeps racing.
He has the energy. I don't know how he does it, but he keeps plugging along. So more power to him. I have a lot of respect for that. All
right, so that moves us over to the prestigious Wall Stadium Garden State Classic night. We were pleasantly surprised with 27 modifieds, which is a great turnout. It seemed like there was really no outside invaders or anything like that, but this seems like every local guy that has a modified showed up for this race, which was cool. It was good to see.
Okay, so it's like instead of occasionally some guys take a week off, then the next week some other guys take it. So they all just
everybody showed up on the same day.
Okay.
So they were all there. It was a good night of racing. The Scott Riggleman Start 'em All rule was challenged a little bit this weekend, and I wasn't really happy with it. There's 27 modifieds there. They start 24. Dave Michael came out and our race director came out during the drivers meeting and said, listen, we're starting 24 cars, 20 through time trials, 4 through a consolation race. And then we're going to take, if one of our top 10 in modified points, one of our local modified points guys don't qualify, or the next available guy in points, you could be 12th or 13th. If you don't make the race, we're going to put you in the show as the 25th place person because you deserve to be in it because you've been here all year, which I thought was cool. But then you're leaving 2 guys out. You know what I'm saying? So start them all. And then once again, they had a consolation. There was wrecks in it. There was this, that, and another thing. And
if you get enough wrecks, you can start them all anyway.
Yeah, and usually by the end of the day, between practice and qualifying and everything, you'll lose 1 or 2 cars to like a mechanical problem or someone blows up or something happens and a car has to scratch anyways. I don't know. Just sending 2 cars home just makes no sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
But they did start 25. They did put 1 more in the show. I just wish they would have said right from the beginning, no consolation race. We're doing time trials and we're starting that way, and 27 cars are starting.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I agree.
The weather was good. It actually got cool over there, Josh. The wind got blown.
It got a little chilly there. I almost put a jacket on at the end of the night.
Yeah, it did get chilly. I mean, the factory stocks raced second, so it was still pretty warm out when I drove. So when I got out of the car, I had to load all my stuff up, and I got up to the grandstands to watch the modified laps, like 69 laps into the race. And it started getting chilly. Nancy's like, I'm going back to the truck to get a jacket. Do you want a sweatshirt? And I said, no, because it kind of felt good. It was kind of cooling me off,
Mm-hmm.
But by the time they ended the modified race on, I was cooled off and getting chilly, But I liked it. It felt good over there. It was a nice breeze. It was a perfect night for racing. The crowd was good. Maybe a little too good, Josh. You know what I'm saying?
I
But
saw
it was
a
good.
picture, and that looked like just a couple more than 500.
Someone said they counted, and there was 498 people there, so I think we're okay.
You also have to remember the people coming out of the grandstands, out of the pits, to come into the grandstands for the features.
Yeah, that's a good point too, Tim. I didn't think about that because by the time modifieds are on the track, the late models are over with, this factory stocks are over, so a lot of crew members go over there to watch the race, and now it looks like there's more people.
And I was glad that they put the factory stocks before the modified. You guys got to race for a full crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah, the factories they deserved it.
But it was a perfect night. There wasn't too many divisions, and the modified race went pretty well. We got out of there at a decent time again, Josh, for a third week in a row. We were done pretty early, And it was another enjoyable night over at Wall Stadium. I mean, my race didn't go as well as I wanted it to. I actually had a tough night, but I don't let it get me down. I still had a nice time at the racetrack. And Nancy, she had fun. She finished on the lead lap for the first time this year, so that was a success for her. I'm going to have a couple bad nights, you know what I'm saying, sooner or later. So I just take my lumps and move on. But let's start right with the limited late models. They were the first ones racing. Tim, did you recognize a name from the past in that late model race?
Did. Rick Giannino was in that race.
Yeah, Rick Giannino from Long Island. He came out of retirement. I mean, I used to race with him 30 years ago at Flemington, and he hasn't raced in a long time. And he said he picked up a late model cheap. I did talk to him. It was good to see him. I did say to him, I said, man, I used to race with a guy named Ricky Giannino 30 years ago. I said, you can't be the same guy. He's like, oh, screw you. He said he doesn't know how competitive he's going to be with that car. It is a stock clip car. It's got a Camaro clip on the front, but it's a beautiful car. I mean, they'll be able to get it to run, and Ricky's a good driver. It was cool to see him back at the racetrack, and it was another car for the limited late models. Shannon Maggio came back with Rob Wormsley's car, so that was another late model being there. I don't. Tim, how many were there? 5, 6? I don't know.
7.
7? Okay, so yeah, that's up for them. I mean, they've been as low as 4 cars, so for them to have 7, it's pretty cool. They're getting there, They raced first. I didn't get to watch it because I was getting ready to go out with the factory stock, so I had to get my car ready and Nancy's car ready. So go ahead, Josh. Here's what just do the top 7.
Yeah. Shannon Maggio, Chris Silvestri, Greg Gastelou, Ricky Giannino, Buddy Miller, Stephen Puglisi, and Mike Tillett, the Rooster.
Cool.
So
yeah, I mean, hopefully we get a few more. If they can get that, they can get that division to 10 or 11 cars every week, they got something.
Yeah, no, that would be good, and you can build it back up, and hopefully that'll keep the factory stocks from advancing too much further. Tech-wise, or if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and just anybody listening, if you got a late model, a limited late model, an old pro stock, anything that even resembles a late model, give Rob Heyer a call, the tech guy. Tell him what you got. He kind of makes it like a mixed division where he'll make you add weight or take weight off to try to make it even. You tell him what you got. He'll tell you how, if you can race and how much weight you got to add or take off. If you got an old car laying around, come race it. It's a perfect division to drag something out of the woods and race it. Or if you got a beautiful late model, bring it over and race it.
I think a lot of cars need to drop like 200 pounds if they want to be competitive with Shannon, because he has it covered. It's a beautiful car. It's built well, and Shannon is a good driver. So I don't want to say that he's not deserving of winning or anything.
Really,
like that,
I mean, and we've said it before. I mean, every fast car has a bad night. So, and like Tim says, there's times in that late model race last year where Shannon had a problem, and everybody else started racing harder because they knew it was their night to win. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, if you have a late model laying around, or an old street stock with like a late model looking body on it, bring it over. Come race with us. Come over to Wall Stadium and race it, and help car count and have some fun.
Absolutely. All right.
Then the next race down the hill was the ever popular factory stocks. We had 20 cars. That's up from the weeks before. So we had 20 cars, a lot of good cars, but because of the handicap system, I was buried in the field because I was second in points going into the night. I started 10th on the outside, and my row just went backwards. And And then I got spun later in the race, and then I was making it back up, and then people wrecked in front of me. I went to go around them and got spun again with 2 laps to go. So that pretty much ended my night, and I settled for a 12th. But still had fun. I mean, the car came home in one piece, and I got a few things to do to it, and it was a fun race. Elliott showed up with a brand new motor in his car. He started 9th or 7th or something like that, and he was able to, he just told me he had the opposite thing happen to him in the race, where every time I made a move or got into a row, it was the wrong row. It was the slow row, went backwards.
Right.
Elliott said the holes just opened up for him. He said he actually got lucky. He said, he's like, Scott, before I knew it, I'm leaving. You know what I'm saying? He's like, it is, when there was a slower car in front of him and it slid up in the outside lane, I was in the outside lane and he went, I mean, Brian O'Shea was back there with me, and he's the fastest car there. And he had trouble making his way back up through the field too. It was a tough race. There was a few cautions, a lot of spins, nothing hard wrecking or nothing like that. I was involved in 2 cautions myself. It was just a tough factory stock race. That's about all I have for that. It was nice to see Kevin Flores back after his DQ. He did tell me he changed the cam and put the motor back in, and I think he was still able to finish 3rd. So it was a good run for Kevin. He's really becoming one of the drivers to deal with over there, and he's starting to have, he's got a couple of years under his belt now, and he's getting real good. Go ahead, Josh. Here's what the top 10 for the factory stock guys.
Elliott Wall gets the win, followed by Mike Montano, Kevin Flores, John Bowers, Nick Kilmer, Tim Majek, Brian O'Shea, Matt Badessa, which that's a good finish for him in the top 10.
Matt was battling hard the whole race.
Yeah,
He was actually fun to race with.
He's been at it for a while, and I think it's
it's good to see him get a nice top 10.
Yeah. Then Robert Stack in 9th and Billy Both in 10th.
Yeah.
Actually, it was good to see you and Neil in there, finishing 11th and 12th. I'm trying to think. You mentioned Nancy on the lead lap. It's there's a beautiful blue and white car. I got to see a clip of.
That's Nick Catone. That's the MMA fighter.
Okay.
That's actually Kenny Green's old car with a wrap on it. And Nick is new to racing. He started racing last year.
Okay.
And he was actually able to win his heat race, and it was a pretty emotional moment. He's been working hard and trying hard, and he's been bouncing off walls and spinning out just like everybody else. When they first start winning, for him to put the whole heat race together and run good, it was cool to see him get the win. And after the race, a lot of people went over there and shook his hand and congratulated him because they know he's been working hard and trying hard. And it was good to see him get the heat race win.
He also ran good in the first couple laps of the feature.
Yeah,
he held his own out there for the first couple laps.
Yeah, he was the one. He was the guy that spun late in the race, and when I went around the outside of him, I got hit from the back again. It was one of those things where they spun in front of me, Josh. I'm like, oh my god, I'm going to hit him, and I turn right and I get him around it, and I see a clear racetrack, and I'm just going past the spinning cars. I'm like, cool, I made it. Next thing I know, I'm spinning around in circles. So plastered me and spun me out. And then there was 2 laps to go, so I'm like, I'm not going to kill myself.
You weren't going to get too far with that. Yeah, unfortunately,
it was definitely one of those things that it just wasn't my night, and I just shrug it off and come back next week. All right, and then we move on to the Mighty Modified. Tim, how many laps was that Garden State Classic this year? 125?
Yes.
Yeah, 125 lapper for the Modifieds. Before we get to the race itself, I just want to give props to Dave Michael, our new race director. He did something at our driver's meeting that I haven't seen in a very long time. After the driver's meeting was over, he called Jimmy Blewett and Tyler Truex into the trailer. All year, Jimmy and Tyler have been kind of going at it. Like Tim said, there was kind of like some brake checking going on last week and everything. And I did get to talk to Tyler. I said, why did you guys get called to the principal office? He's like, well, me and Jimmy been roughing each other up whenever we get next to each other, and Dave just wanted to squash it. He just pulled us aside, said, I'm watching you too. Whatever problem you guys have, knock it off and talk it out right here, right now. And then Tyler's like, Jimmy's like, well, you did this to me. And then Tyler's like, well, you did this to me. And then Tyler's like, well, if you really want to go back to where it started in 2016, you raced the Sportsman with us and you ripped my oil cooler off. And Dave Michael finally just said, ho. We're not going all the way back to 2016. From this day forward, no more bullshit. Knock it off and race each other clean. So that's pretty cool. Sometimes you got to do that. You got to bring 2 guys in, make them shake hands, call a truce, and let's start fresh. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I'm telling you, Dave's doing a real good job over there. And then So they leave the the trailer, and next thing I hear, Ricky Collins, Dom Fataruso to the trailer because those two been going at it all year. So they made them talk it out and squash it. And I'm glad the track's stepping into some of these rivalries going on to try to clean it up a little bit.
Which, honestly, it's a weird position to be in. Now, the factory stocks have generally been self-policing.
Yeah.
You dump me, I dump you back, and then it's kind of over with. But the rivalries, in a way, a lot of the fans love that, so it's kind of exciting. But
yeah, it is.
But at the same time, I see it from trying to run the race and all the other competitors that end up getting tied up in the BS. When one of them takes the other out, and now 5 cars get wrecked, and now everybody's mad. So
yeah, you got to stop it. You got to nip it in the bud. You know what I'm saying?
It's good to have a bit of a. I'm sorry. It's good to have a little bit of the rivalry, but when it gets out of hand, but you have to draw that line somewhere.
Yeah, and he did. He finally drew that line. He knew it was a big race. There was a lot of money up for grabs, so he took the time to settle these disputes between these drivers. I think Dave's doing a great job. I really am. So that moves us on to the Garden State Classic. Tim, did you spot for the very famous Jimmy Blewett this week?
Yes, I did.
All right, cool. How'd your race guys go? By the time I got up there, you guys were leading. I got up there around lap 69. You guys were in the lead. But Stephen Reed was able to pass Jimmy, which was pretty surprising. And I tell you what, Jimmy and Stephen were running each other really clean. And we'll talk about two more rivals. It was cool to watch them because Jimmy was able to pass Stephen back on a restart on the outside. And I'm like, wow, Jimmy and Stephen are finally racing each other super clean. And they were. And then something happened going into one. Stephen got underneath Jimmy. I don't know if Jimmy came down on him or if Stephen hit him in the left rear corner, but Jimmy did start spinning. But it looked weird because Stephen kind of stopped when they hit, and Jimmy went for that long power slide, and he pretty much spun going into 2 from getting hit going into 1. So it's like, can you blame Stephen for that? Because Stephen was like 5 car lengths back when Jimmy finally spun into the infield. Tim, as Jimmy spotter, what did you see in that situation?
Well, we all know you're not going to blame Stephen Reed. But if I go back to the beginning of the race, it was 125 laps, and Jimmy just wanted to get to the lead to pace the field to run his race, and he ended up deciding to pit a little earlier than I anticipated to pit. We went in about like lap 53,
and that's weird. You usually try to at least get past halfway so you have pressure tires for the end.
But Jimmy knew that his car didn't like it, so he was pitting, and he came right back through the field like nobody's business. Like he passed all the cars and was back up to like second or third, and it was a restart, and then it was a quick yell, and he comes over the radio, he goes, "Something's wrong with the motor. I think I broke a rocker arm." So he tried to clear it out, blah blah blah, all that. He's like, "No, it's ticking. There's something broke." Tommy Martillo's like, "Run it, blow it up, run it. You're leading. You just came through the field," and it was just fast enough where he could get the lead, but it wasn't fast enough where Steven could get underneath him coming off the corner.
Right.
And Jimmy couldn't pull him down the straightaway.
Yeah.
So Jimmy was protecting the bottom, and there was about 35 laps to go, and it's only a matter of time that those two are going to get together. So I was just waiting for, it's going to happen. And sure enough, it happened going into 1 there, and Steven did let off. Steven did do a hell of a job and got by Jimmy, and then Jimmy drove an underpowered car to get back around him. It was a good race, and they came together, and Jimmy lost it, and he came across the radio and said, "We're not running for points. I'm not going to hurt this motor any more than it is. I'm pulling in," and that was my night.
Okay.
So.
And then on the next restart, now you had Derek Hopkinson on the 17 car on the outside of Steven, and there was an altercation there, and Steven got sent for the back from that. It looked like Steven kind of ran him a little high in the corner. He kind of used the nerf on him a little bit.
He gave me a old flim flam on the outside there. You can get away with the flim flam if it's like Jimmy or Andrew's out there because you're not necessarily they're going to spin. They're going to slow up. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And that wasn't necessarily that I think Steven was trying to take him out. He was just trying to clear him out of the way, and Derek spun out, so they put Steven to the read.
But then, Josh, here we are. Six or seven laps to go in a modified race that pays $5,000 to win. You're going to use all the track up you can.
Yeah.
As long as you don't bounce the guy off the wall, I don't mind running a little bit high in the corner. You know what I'm saying? But if you Nerf bar him to the point where he spins, then
and then the altercation with Jimmy, and Steven, I was trying to watch Jimmy and Steven what they were doing, but apparently Andrew Krause, who at that particular time had way better tires, he pitted way late.
Okay.
And he was, I think it was his race to win at that point. I honestly think he would have drove right by Jimmy and Steven because he had way better tires. Mm-hmm. But apparently it was one of those, how I love the judgment calls at Wall Stadium. Some people said he stopped for the accident, and some people said he kept rolling.
Okay.
So I guess the powers to be in the office decided that he stopped enough that he had to go to the rear. He was part of that accident. So that's why he wasn't up, and that's what happened to him.
And that kind of left us with, very surprisingly, Blake Barney leading and Tommy Martino Jr., a rookie this year. I tell you, he was up there. He was battling Blake there at the end.
Tommy had definitely had a better nose going into the center, and he tried to, give Blake the bumper, and Blake's car was getting loose anyway. If Tommy just would have if Tommy would have known that 2 seconds earlier, he could have laid off of him and easily drove underneath of him. And probably got in the win, but it happened where he hit him and it unloaded his car, and then he went up towards the fence. So
yeah, he got in the fence a little bit, and then out of nowhere, our buddy of the show, Kyle Sisko. Kyle Sisko came on very strong at the end. I tell you what, I think if there was 3 or 4 more laps in that race, I think Kyle Sisko could have won that race.
Kyle Sisko could have easily moved Blake Barney. Blake was not good in the center of the corner. You know what I mean? But
then again, I've been in leading situations like that too. And if you feel like you're going to get hit from behind, you go in and you have the car under control.
I get it. But my point being is the Sisko kid never even tried to hit him. He tried to drive around him.
Yeah. And just a quick note on the Sisko family. I just wanted to point this out. A lot of people were asking why Kyle wasn't at the races last week. I thought maybe they were just saving money up for the Garden State Classic because you got to buy 6 tires. I did see Glenn Osborne over at work, over at Blewett's Junkyard. And I asked Glenn, because the Siskos keep their race cars at Glenn's house. And I said, well, why wasn't Brian and Kyle at the races? Is everything all right? He's like, no, Brian actually got rushed to the hospital last week. He had very high blood pressure. So Brian was in the hospital. So the family decided not to go to the races without Brian. I did see Brian at the track after the second place finish. He was on his way over to Tech. He looked great. He had a big smile on his face, like, congratulating him on a good run, and he just said thank you. So I just wanted to mention that Brian had a little bit of a health scare, but he's fine now, and they're back at the racetrack racing.
That's what he gets for trying to spoof me. That was fun.
All right, Josh, you want to hit us with the top 10 of the Garden State Classic?
Yeah, absolutely. So Blake Barney, back-to-back, incredible job by him. Lot of history behind that car, and
that's right. That's 2 wins in a row.
Yeah. So excellent for him. He's a great kid, and I'm happy for him. Kyle Sisko, like you said, very strong at the end there. A good close second. And Rodden Freese, Tommy Martino, Andrew Krause, Eddie McCarthy, Derek Hopkinson, Jonathan Mondato, Sean Carrig, and Jason Treat are your top 10. And we had, like you said, 25 cars start that race, and that's overall. It was a good, strong field. A lot of really good names in there, like Jason Hearn, and as we mentioned, Blewett before. So yeah, it's.
Yeah, we didn't have any of the exciting names from out of state, like an Earl Pauls or Matt Hirschman or anything like that. But we had the best New Jersey has to offer. I mean, it was a good stout field. I also want to give Ron Freese some recognition too, because he struggled all day. I think he qualified like 21st fastest. He had to qualify through the Consi, and for him to battle back and finish third, that's a great run for Ron.
Yeah.
They said he was sick.
And he was sick. Well, I didn't want to really say that, because if you're sick all week, you're not supposed to come to the racetrack in case you have COVID. But Ron Freese,
he didn't have a fever though. He's all right.
So Ron Freese could have jeopardized the
He
whole
watched
thing over there by showing up at the racetrack sick. But he did show up there, and he did have a great night.
He had
And
diarrhea,
sometimes-
not a fever. You know, it's different. Yeah.
He watched.
on a side note, I did notice in tech, man, they had a very thorough tech over there. They pulled the heads off of each modified over there, and they checked stroke and bore on the engines, which is quite a bit of a job, you know. But then I thought about it for a second. I think the reason they did that is they had 3 different engine builders' engines in there because the Barneys run a Morgantini motor. Who was second there? Kyle Sisko. He runs a Borwick motor, and Ron Fries runs a Martino motor. So that was a heads-up call by
Heads up.
pull a heads-up call by Tech because you have 3 different engine builders. So now you can check 3 different motors built by separate engine builders instead of checking 3 motors by the same engine builder. You know what I'm saying? So it was pretty cool that they did that and everybody passed. So that was a good thing.
No, that's great, and it's something to be learned, and that's good for the tech officials to to see that and know that okay, good. This. I think it's great comparison work.
All right, then after that, I headed home. I headed back to the camper. We had some friends down from Connecticut, so we went back to the camper. But the 4-cylinders rolled down the hill next. Tim, did you stay for the 4-cylinder race?
Oh yeah, we have to stay and watch TJ Graves. The girls like TJ Graves.
Yeah, unfortunately, halfway to the campground, I got a depressing, frustrating message from TJ Graves. I think he finished 3rd in the race, but he unfortunately got disqualified. He was just a little bit over on his left side weight. So unfortunately for TJ, he had a good night, turned bad on him in the tech area.
Yeah, I'm a little over on my left side weight too right now.
I think we all are. TJ's a good friend of the show. He's actually the one that made the RPM podcast stickers for us, the ones that we handed out. So I just wanted to mention TJ. He had a tough night. He had a good night, but a tough night in tech. And TJ, just so you know, we need more RPM podcast stickers.
I gotta, no, TJ's done. He's helped us out a lot. I gotta find that press release and share it from the page again. But
Tim, you have anything noticeable from the 4-cylinder race you want to talk about, or do you just want to do the top 10?
No, top 10's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, Josh.
So Sal Ligori gets the win. Ryan Marr.
Good for Sal.
Yeah. I haven't seen him get the win in a while there that I can remember.
Sal's another one. Like I know Sal because we've been racing together forever. I have towed a few cars for himself, but he always makes a point. Whenever I walk by him, he always comes over and says hi. We always share a minute. At least we're both always busy racing, but we always share that 30 seconds every Saturday. He's one of those guys.
Yeah.
Always comes over and says hi. I like Sal. He's a good guy. I'm glad to see him get the win.
Yeah, I don't know him that well, honestly. My standout memory is Neil Rutt yelling at him over some incident they had on the.
And now Neil works for Sal.
Yeah,
it's a crazy world over there at that racetrack.
Yeah, well, that's why they call it Wally World, right?
That's one thing. One thing I learned: you never burn a bridge at the racetrack.
Yeah.
No. Because you never know when you're going to need to borrow a part. And that one guy that you cursed out last week has that part. You know what I'm saying? I've had people curse me out, and the next thing they were like, "Oh, I'm afraid to ask you." I said, "Don't worry about it. If you need something, I got it. You can have it."
Yeah.
I remember one time someone came over to me and asked me to borrow a drain pan, a big drain pan. I'm like, no, I don't bring one because that guy over there always has one. I just borrow his. He's like, I'd rather drain the oil on my helmet than borrow something off that guy. So,
oh my God. Well, Scott, didn't you use the turkey pan? Was it?
Yeah, I have the turkey baster now with me at all times. So if anybody needs a drain pan, I have a stainless steel turkey pot with me.
It's just like I know Scott will always have a rear axle seal.
Yeah, they're right in the toolbox.
Anyway, so we talked about Sal Ligori getting the win. Ryan Marr, Doug Ashford, Darianne McLaren, Sean Volsanic, Cody Critelli, Cole Mullen in 7th there, Nicole Rosano, William Cross, and Teresa Collins hopped in to run the 4-cylinder. She was running really strong, but then she had something break. I forget what it was. I think was it the trans that went on.
She raced a 4-cylinder again this week. I know she did a couple weeks ago. I didn't know she did it this week too.
Yeah, she seems to be doing well there. So yeah, And at that point, we might as well we'll just give the other two Max Montijo, I don't know. I screwed it up, so sorry. Travis Schwartz, and then as we mentioned, the DQ was T.J. Graves. So yeah, that covers the 4 cylinders there.
I think Scott said he finished third. TJ actually won.
Oh, did he really? He won that race?
Yeah.
Oh, man, he got a win taken away from him.
Yeah.
That's a shame. And then they had insult to injury. I did see on Facebook that TJ went up to Evergreen Speedway the next day to race, get some more racing in. He ended up getting into a crash up there. So he had a tough racing weekend,
It's the risk you take. I mean, anywhere you go. Scott, I mean, you drive all over for these races, especially the Enduros, and you risk that car getting destroyed at any of them. Or you risk, having your fuel pump break as you come back from Florida.
Yeah.
Scott, do you know if that car that Ricky Collins had was a new car, or was it just wrapped? A lot of people in the stands were asking if that was a new car or not.
I did talk to Rick Collins. He said that they did have it. I'm assuming it's the same car because he said that they had it stripped down and they found that they had the Panhard bar not on backwards, but the heights they had it bent backwards. Like I forget on a modified. On the right side, you want the Panhard bar at like 9 inches, and on the left side, you want it on 8. They had it the opposite way. Whatever way it was, they had it 9 on the left and 8 on the right, and they figured that's why they've been struggling the last few weeks, and they got the Panhard bar set up right, and the car was better. He said during the week, Saturday the car was a lot better, and they got a new sponsor, so they got a new wrap on it. It was like Primary something. I wish I knew the name of it, but the car looked beautiful. They had Henry come and wrap it, and he has a new sponsor. It must be a pretty good sponsor because they pretty much dedicated the whole car to this company that's sponsoring Ricky now. Unfortunately, Ricky had motor problems again. He had basically the same thing. What's that?
There was a lot of motor problems there.
Yeah, and I think Ricky had the same problem as Jimmy. They just broke a rocker or dropped the valve or something like that. Like the motor didn't completely blow up; it just had some valve train troubles.
Jason,
I think what some of these guys do for the time trials, I think they change the gear and up the gear and to scream the motor for a couple laps, and that might have hurt it. You know what I'm saying?
What was wrong with Jason Hearns, Tim?
He came in popping and banging too, like he had a broken rocker or a bad distributor or something.
It was loud.
It was popping bad.
That's a shame. All right, so that covers Wall for the weekend.
And did you see the food menu at all at Wall Stadium this week?
The special was kibasi and sauerkraut.
Oh,
and Nancy screaming from the living room from upstairs that they had pierogies this week too.
I think pierogies may be a staple.
Every week now.
Yeah.
Every racetrack should have pierogies. If you got a French fry thing, you can make French fries. You can make pierogies in the French fry thing. Just have them. They're a frozen product like a French fry. Just every racetrack in the world should sell pierogies.
Yeah, get rid of the boiled peanuts.
Replace your boiled peanut machine with a pierogi machine. Tim, what was it? It was kibasi?
Kibasi and sauerkraut sandwiches, I do believe.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. I just want to mention that yesterday was the day that John got killed, and there was a lot of people in the grandstands wearing John Blue and stuff. So that was cool to see. So
John passed away, unfortunately, on my brother's birthday on August 16th, and it's also the day that Elvis Presley passed away too. He passed away in 1977.
Wow.
So my brother's got some bad luck on his birthday.
I got bad luck every day.
I feel bad for my brother because it's his birthday and everybody's talking about Elvis Presley passing away and our buddy John Blue the third. Tim gets no recognition.
Yeah, well, I made a point to message him and I told him I'd buy him a track sandwich, of his choice.
Well, I knew it was my brother's birthday and he actually called me and I just ignored it.
Oh, you're a good person.
I knew I'd see him tonight.
Yeah. Well, Scott, I think you've said in the past the most you guys talk is at this point is on this podcast.
Yeah. Or if we do talk to him over the week, it's about racing. Either his racing, what he's got going on with his daughters, or the racing I got going on with me and Nancy. And
oh yeah. While we're talking about Wall, so the Sunday series did get rained out.
Unfortunately, man, they only got one racing this year, which is I feel bad for the kids.
Yeah, the weather's been rough. I think this weekend's looking a little bit better. So we'll have to see. I know that there was like another hurricane or something that formed off of like Connecticut or something. They said. Of course, it was named Kyle.
While we're talking about the Sunday series, I just want to thank Hot Pockets. I got to thank him, or I'll never hear the end of it. He bought both girls new shoes. Because they got to get new shoes every year because they grow out of them. So he did that.
I'll tell you what, man, they don't make the racing shoes as good as they used to. Mine last like half the season now, and they start falling apart.
Bailey's actually fell apart. Yeah.
Yeah, they fall apart just from walking across the pits and stuff. They just wear out. They don't last as long as they used to.
Scott, you're absolutely right. I've been incredibly disappointed with the couple pairs that I got. And it's not that I bought them from, cheap or shady or anything like that. It's just they don't hold up.
Yeah, I don't care. I bought $150 pairs and I bought $60 pairs. They all fall apart.
Yeah.
It's to the point now where I kind of want to take them off when I'm not racing and put my sneakers on and walk around the pits in my sneakers. You know what I'm saying?
Probably be more comfortable too.
And they wear. I like racing shoes. I think they're comfortable. Just they fall apart so easy.
It's probably the heat between the heat of the black top and the heat inside the race car. The glue's probably not strong enough.
Well, that's part of it.
They build them light for comfort. They want a light racing shoe and all that stuff. I don't know.
My rubber would wear right through, and then I would literally have holes in the bottom of the thing.
Yeah,
and
no, you're right.
For me, personally, like they're not uncomfortable, but like I'll wear like regularly like New Balances or something like that where I get more arch support. Yes, we're talking about shoes now. I prefer having that arch support. So yeah, I actually would be all for wearing the sneakers during the during the downtime.
When you're not in the car.
Yeah.
Well,
all right. So
hold on, I want to finish. I wasn't thinking Hot Pocket for the shoes. Not only did he buy shoes, a couple of days later, a package came from Max Pappas Industries with 2 steering wheels in them, and those steering wheels are not cheap. So, thank you for him. The girls really enjoyed that. That makes them feel like they're more professional, and they are a damn nice steering wheel. So,
you said Max Pappas?
Yeah.
Yeah, the MPI.
MPI.
Did you get autographs with that or something? I would hope.
No. For what you paid for, Max Pappas should come down here.
He should deliver them himself.
But Bailey did get to meet Max Pappas at New Smyrna. Max Pappas is at New Smyrna every year selling them.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Josh, you would die laughing. I mean, here's Max Pappas, a world-known race car driver. He's literally there with his pickup truck selling steering wheels out of the back of his pickup truck. You can just walk right up to him and talk to him.
Yeah.
He was there by himself, jeans and sneakers, sweatshirt, literally selling steering wheels out of the back of his pickup truck.
Wow. I'll have to travel and meet him at some point because I did watch him race for a number of years in the kart series.
He's a great guy. Big fan of the modifieds too. Loves the modifieds.
Really? That's awesome. Does he have a kid that runs races or anything like that?
His kid to me looks like he's like 10 to 12 years old. If he's racing, I don't know.
Okay, because I know like what was it? I think is it Montoya's kid races. Because remember Sam had to call Montoya about something with the rules and signing in and whatever. Yeah, it's weird some of the connections you end up making. And I know you mentioned New Smyrna. We probably should mention Myrtle Beach though, real quick.
Oh yeah, they had their final race. And this is why I would never go to a final race. Because it turns into a wreck fest, everybody fighting. Because what are they going to do? Throw you out? It's over anyway. So if you watch some of the YouTube clips and Facebook stuff, there was nothing but wrecking and fighting going on down there. Like I wouldn't even went to that last race. It just turns into a wreck fest.
Yeah. So it's not just who gets the last win at the track. It's like you said. It's what can happen? Who cares anymore?
It turns into a free-for-all because no one cares. It's like the last day of school. You just don't care anymore. You know what I'm saying? You throw your books out the window and,
And the flagman leaves, and the next thing you know,
Yeah,
Scott has to leave the announcing
seen-
booth and go flag.
I never seen a racetrack have a last race that ended on a good note. It's always some type of brawl, fight, crash fest. Everybody's cheating. Nobody cares. I would never. If Wall Stadium said next week is the final race at Wall Stadium, I'd stay home. I don't go to final races, you know. And then why are you going to go there and support it anyway? The place is closing anyway. You know what I'm saying? So
Other than
got bought out.
I'm sorry, Scott.
And they had their final race over the weekend.
Did they ever say what was going there?
I'm assuming houses or condos or whatever.
Are they going to pave it with seashells?
I never made it to Myrtle Beach. My brother did go down there a few times. The track does have a lot of history. It's a shame to see it go. It's a shame to see any racetrack go. But the people that are running Myrtle Beach are taking over another track in South Carolina that's been struggling. I'm pretty sure it's a Florence Speedway. So even though this track closed down, they're moving everything over to another track that was going to close down anyway, and it has closed down a couple times in the past. So one track's closing down, but they're saving another one. So it kind of evens itself out, and they're only about a half hour apart from each other. So basically, they're just taking that show from there and moving it over to Florence County Speedway.
The bad part about it is that Myrtle Beach it's a little rough around the edges, but it's a nice facility. The grandstands are good. It's got press boxes and guest suites with, air conditioned boxes and refrigerated.
It's definitely one of those short tracks that can have a bigger event there. Like they can have
they could hold
an
a tour
race or a K&N East race or a even like a truck race, modified tour. Like it's a short track that can race as a big track, because back in the day they had Grand National races there. They had Xfinity races there. It's a 5/8 mile. It's a big short track, so it has a pit road. Like Tim said, it was like the perfect in-between track,
Right. Well, I mean, it's like you said, it's a shame to see it go. Wait, Scott, you won there though, didn't you?
No, I've never been to Myrtle Beach.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I know we've talked about it before, and about the seashells that you. Yeah,
that was when Tim went down there with the modified tour.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've been there a couple times.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Scott hasn't won there.
We're going to end the show with a little Scott Riggleman story. On Friday night, I did sneak away on one of my Enduro trips. The Monday before, on a whim, the guy that runs the Outlaw Enduro series that races at Grandview Speedway, he said, "Hey, I just got a call from Kutztown Fair. I can have a race there Friday night if you guys want to do it. If I can get a handful of people in each class willing to support it, I'll put a race on this Friday." It was very short notice. It was kind of a weird thing. It was the week they're supposed to have the Kutztown Fair there, and that fair is huge, and they weren't allowed to have it. But like racing, like some racetracks, they're allowed to race, but they don't have fans. They could have their competitions there, but they couldn't have the fair. So meaning, like, if some kid has been raising this pig all year to bring it to the fair and win the pig competition, they want the kid to be able to show his pig or his chicken or whatever they're showing, And so they had all the competitions there. You know what I'm saying? So when we got there was people there. They're all there with their livestock, and they had the shows, and they, which I thought was great, because I mean, it's not big around here anymore, but Pennsylvania, there's still a lot of farming industry going on.
Well,
so
I mean, Ocean. Well, we were pretty upset. The Ocean County Fair got canceled this year. And I think the Monmouth County Fair too. Wall Stadium used to have a presence at the Monmouth County Fair, and my neighbors, or my parents' neighbors, up on Silverton Road there in Toms River, they're involved with the 4-H club, so they would have all the chickens.
And that's who it was. It was 4-H. And what's
the fair that we used to go to with the balloons and the demo derbies? What was that?
Balloons.
Warren County Fair. The Warren County Fair.
That's the best one by far.
Yeah, Warren County Fair is cool. So because Kutztown Fair said, "Listen, we're going to still have our competitions. We're going to be here anyway. If you guys want to hold a race, go ahead. It's a competition. You guys can have a race like we're having our, livestock competitions." So we did. We had a race. We didn't get a lot of cars. They had four races. They had a big car Enduro, which is my division. They had a 4-cylinder Enduro, and then they had a junk car race, and that's the main race they have there. and then they had a mechanics race. I only had 8 cars in my division, but the track's tiny. It's a micro sprint track. It's it's a 5th mile track, little dirt
So
track.
you filled it up pretty good.
I was hoping for 10 to 15 cars, and I really thought we were going to have 10 to 15 cars, but we only got 8. And so at least we had room out there. If we would have had anything over 15 cars, it would have been tight on that little track. But it was cool. I was able to get the win, and I really went there because I just want to say I raced there. I always heard about Kutztown Speedway. It's called the Action Track USA. So I wanted to go there and race, and I was able to win the race, which was very cool.
How's bragging camp going?
I did leave without my trophy, though. I won, and it was the Mark Naff Singer Memorial race, and his family was all there. Mark was an Enduro race car driver from that area, and his biggest win was the junk car race at the Kutztown Fair. It was 150 lapper, and there was like 100 cars, and he won that race like in 2016, I think. And unfortunately, he got killed in a car accident on the highway in 2017. So they call it the Mark Naff Singer Memorial Races now on that week because that was the site of his biggest win in his career. And his family was there. His wife was there. They took pictures of with me in Victory Lane. They were holding a picture of Mark in Victory Lane, so it was pretty touching. It was pretty cool to win that race. He was known for having like Caprice, the big Caprice style cars, and he would paint them yellow and green, John Deere colors, and he would have a yellow number 3 on it in the Dale Earnhardt font. That was what his cars looked like. So we all ran green and yellow ribbons on our car and stuff like that in memory of Mark. So it was pretty cool winning that race. In Victory Lane, they didn't give me a trophy, and when I went to get paid, I'm like, this. The one guy, I think the flagger I asked, I said, where's the trophy? He's like, this race just got put together. We didn't have time to get trophies. I'm like, all right, that's fair. I understand. You only had 4 days to plan for this race. So I left, and then halfway home, I get a message. They're like, hey, you forgot your trophy. I'm like, I didn't think there was any. So I'll have to pick that up another day. Actually, Joe Biederman, the guy I raced with, he grabbed it for me.
Oh, yeah. No, we had him on with the other guys.
Yeah, he was on at the motorsports show on the podcast. Joe was there racing, and he actually grabbed the trophy for me. And
those guys like to call me Hot Carl for some reason. I don't see the resemblance, but yeah, sure. Anyway, so you want to go?
Trunk lid?
Yeah.
Everybody's been waiting for that trunk lid to come off for a long time. I still have the stock arms in the back that holds the trunk lid in it. Well, it got so rotted out that the bolts pulled through. So I just welded the trunk lid onto the arms, But like I said, it's getting rusty. The metal's getting thin. The welds would crack. I would just put more welds on it. Welds on it. Well, it finally broke off. So now I gotta mount it with hood pins like a regular race car now.
So did it come off, or was it just when you crossed the finish line?
It looked like a wing that the right side broke off, but the left side was still attached.
Oh, okay. All right. So I was just curious because going by the pictures that you posted post race, it was off at that point, which I'm guessing you probably just stuffed it in there for the.
But the race started at 6. The races started at 6. They had the 4-cylinder race first, and then they had the big car race. So, my plan was to get out of there by like 8 o'clock and be home by 10:30. Unfortunately, Bob Wink is a guy I raced with. He didn't have a receiver, so I loaned him one of mine. And he was in my race, the big car race. So I'm like, oh, cool. I'll just get it back from him. And when I load up and head home, I don't have to stick around for the junk car race, Well, I didn't know he was racing in the junk car race too. So when I went over to look for my receiver, he was out on the racetrack racing a 103-lap race. So I had to sit there and watch that race before I could head home back to Jersey. So I got stuck there another hour longer. But while I was there, I did go over because you guys enjoy food, and I did see what they have to sell in the concession stand over there. Because I tell you what, man, Pennsylvania, when you get in that Pennsylvania Dutch area, they have the best food. Like, is Dutch like Polish? Because their foods are very similar, like pierogies.
I don't know for sure. I'm not going to jump and take that. I'm not going to pretend to know.
They got to be close because their food's very similar. And it was, Dutch Amish or Pennsylvania Dutch or whatever you want to call them. They were the ones making all the food out there.
But now you got me thinking about food, though, because I know the food list because you sent us these photos, and it looked good. Other than the $350 and $450 burgers.
Yeah, I think that was $4.50. I just forgot the.
Yeah, well, decimal points are important, but yeah, no,
I mean, they had everything to choose from. I'm pulling it up now. I guess you would call this like the appetizer menu. They had fresh cut fries, which is when they take a potato and they just cut them and then throw them right in the oil.
Yep.
With cheese. They had tater tots, with cheese. They had loaded tots. You could have had bacon, chicken, or brisket plus cheese on it. That was $7. Josh said he would have went with the corn nuggets. They had corn. I should have got the corn nuggets. I should have did something different.
Yeah.
They had broccoli cheddar bites, mozzarella sticks, mac and cheese bites.
They have
This is a
jalapeno,
little race.
they have jalapeno bites or no?
Just said nah.
Okay. I mean, that just goes with all the other stuff. What, Tim?
I ended up getting the mozzarella sticks because I peel the breading off it and eat the cheese. It's like something I can eat on my diet because it's high in protein. For $5, they gave me like 6 or 7 large mozzarella sticks and a thing of marinara sauce. So that's what I got.
I got to see what's open right now. It's just after 9.
I ate like 3 of them and threw them away. They were so big, 3 filled me right up.
Alligator bites?
Nah, no alligator bites, Tim. They did have a fish sandwich, but I got a rule, and this goes back to my truck driving days. Basically, that rule you always hear: if you can't see the sea, you can't eat seafood. And I'm in the middle of Pennsylvania, so I'm not getting a fish sandwich out there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I got to be on the shoreline at least to get seafood. If I'm in Kansas or something like that, I'm not getting fish because I know that's been on a truck for a long time.
Right.
But they did have they had a shrimp basket with French fries, chicken fingers with French fries, a chicken sandwich, a fish sandwich. And here's the thing, too. Chicken fingers with French fries was $8. A fish sandwich was $4. So right there, I knew it wasn't a quality fish sandwich because it's half the price of chicken fingers. They had a hamburger, cheeseburger, brisket sandwich.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I was just picturing that like being that melt in your mouth kind of brisket, like just falls apart. That would be. I'm just hungry right now.
Even had chicken wings there. They had fried mushrooms.
They can keep the mushrooms.
Yeah.
F that.
Yeah, no, they had a lot of food there. Typical fair food.
But good prices though.
Huh?
But good prices though too.
Yeah, and that can of soda was only $1. Stuff like that. It was affordable.
Did they have the big mechanical machine that did the corn? Where they put the corn in, it goes up the conveyor belt, and it comes down roasted?
I didn't see nothing like that. No, I didn't see anything like that.
They had one of those at the Warren County Fair every year.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Actually,
like I said, it was the fair, but it wasn't the fair. It was
a pseudo fair.
And Josh? Did you know that we are in a pepperoni shortage?
I was not aware of this.
If you were to order pepperoni on your pizza, you're going to spend at least twice as much for it.
I heard all cold cuts are expensive right now. I heard there's a short. I walked into like a deli and it said our prices went up because price of cold cuts went up. I heard there's a lot of cold cuts are in shortage right now.
Wow. Well, I know that
all right, listen, you can take my toilet paper away, but don't take my food away. All right, don't overcharge me for pepperoni.
I agree, but like Bryce loves these. It's a certain chicken nugget thing that from Walmart, and
Dino nuggets are the best chicken nuggets.
Well, these are not the Dino ones, but they're the Walmart, great value, and all of a sudden they like disappeared, and she was so excited to grab the last large bag that was in the freezer there. Like, crap, we're running out of stuff. Like, and that's been one thing we haven't had a problem with was chicken nuggets, but apparently everything's becoming an issue right now.
And I tell you what, too, we were talking about how chilly it got
at Wall.
Stadium Saturday night. It got chilly at Cuts-Down on Friday night in the mountains. So on the way home, I actually got a cup of coffee, and I stopped at this truck stop, and boy, it was scary inside this truck stop. I almost didn't buy a cup of coffee because it was a little shady in this truck stop, and they only had one style. They were out of everything, like the regular coffee and stuff. They had something called a Kona blend that was really good.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like Brazilian and Jamaican.
Yeah, like I think Wawa has a Kona blend coffee too.
Oh, do they really? Yeah. I tell you what, I tried it because it was the only thing there, and it was hot, and I drank. I was like, I'll try it, and I drank it. And it was really good. So now if I do see a Kona blend around, I'll keep getting that cup of coffee.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Wawa has one, but yeah, no, yeah, shady truck stops are not fun. This is going back to not. It was like right after I graduated high school. A buddy and I went on like a road trip. We went to like Six Flags America, Dorney, and Hershey Park. We did all these like theme parks and for roller coasters and stuff. And we ended up staying at. It was a Days Inn, but it was a day stop. So it was owned by Days Inn, but it was a truck stop. And dude, I'm no lie. I'm taking a shower there, and there was a hint of that diesel fuel smell, like in there. So
Well, that's what this truck stop. When I walked in there, I'm like, man, like it was one of those truck stops like where the like candy bars and stuff had like dust on top of them. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
oh yeah.
and the coffee cups they didn't have like a name on the side, like chock full of nuts or
Oh, it was just like that random
it was just
pattern.
White styrofoam cup, like the counter was all dirty. There was sugar and milk spilt everywhere. I'm like, oh God. I'm like, I picked the wrong place to stop and grab something,
Did they have nachos? The cheese?
They had those big silver pots with like chili in it and
oh no, you don't. No.
And there was more of it slopped on the side of it than there was inside. I mean, it was the dirty. And then the girl behind the counter, she was a younger girl, like 18, 19 years old, sitting there on her phone. I'm like, get up and clean the freaking food station over there. It was bad.
Well, I mean, it's Pennsylvania, so
you just never know. Sometimes you got to go for it, Josh. You just never know. And it was probably the best cup of coffee I had. I just want to give the results from that race up there. The big car race was won by Scott Riggleman. Walt Lemon was second. Noah Frazier was third. Robert Wellman was fourth. Bob Wink was fifth. Gunnar Schultz, which is Rob Schultz's son, who races sportsmen over at New Egypt, over at Wall Stadium.
He was driving. You said Rob Longo's car, right?
Yeah, he was driving one of Rob Longo's cars, so it was cool. Rob Longo was there, and Rob Schultz was there, so I knew somebody there. Our guest from Motorsports, Joe Biederman, was seventh, and Rick Tutterow was eighth. I just want to mention this guy, Rick Tutterow's car. He had a four-door Malibu. It wasn't even painted yet, still had the stock paint on it. Very well-built car. Real nice car. And when I looked inside of it, it was filled with wires and like a computer. I'm like, what is going on here? He opened the hood. He did an LS1 swap on it. It has an LS1 Corvette motor in it.
Oh,
fuel injected. Yep, fuel injected. Had all, all the each cylinder has its own coil pack and all that stuff.
Yeah.
First, man, this can't be legal. But I'm like, whatever, it's an Enduro. So, yeah, the guy did an LS1 swap and put an LS1 motor in an Enduro car. But, man, he had wires everywhere. And, with those cars, you can tune them through the computer, Now,
I'm assuming that was the cast iron block, not the aluminum?
I don't know. I didn't look that close, but he had like one heck of an oil pan on that thing too, like a $400 oil pan on it, custom made to fit.
He went to Steph's, and
that's all fine and dandy, but there's a lot to go wrong there. Get wet. One of the wires.
Tim, that's why I didn't complain. It's a dirt race. They wet the track down. It gets ruddy and bumpy, and he started right in front of me. So I'm gonna see what this guy's gonna do and see how fast his car is. I'm not complaining about rules or nothing yet because, like Tim said, he had a computer and a switch panel the size of my house inside his car, with all these fuses and wires and stuff, and switches. So I'm like, whatever, he can have a wiring problem, Sure enough, he starts in front of me. They throw the green flag. He floors it. I see the thing backfired twice, and he went in the infield.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So after the race, I went over to him. I said, hey, man, what happened? Electrical problem? What happened was I told you it's a 5th-mile track, but they let us pit in the infield. So you can put a jack and tires in your car and bring them into the infield. So he said he thinks when he put the jack inside the car, it pulled the wire out for the fuel pump because it has to have an electronic fuel pump. So he thinks he didn't have really a chance to look at it, but he's pretty sure that by him putting stuff inside the car to bring it out into the infield, it pinched a wire, pulled a wire loose or something. And he said that he thinks his fuel pump stopped working. But man, what a beautiful car, Josh. Very, very well built, very well thought out. It was just something cool, It's something different. And wow, this guy did an LS1 swap on an Enduro car, I just wanted to mention that. I thought that was pretty neat.
Honestly, in the world of Enduros, I mean, it's
It's a
kind of
stock
fun.
motor, right?
Yeah, it's fun. I see that working for a Lemons race too. You know.
That's what I was about to say. It would remind me of something they would do for a Lemons race. You know.
Yeah, I'd be all for it. Our buddy Aaron Lineman, which we need to talk to him again, but yeah, that's something he would actually probably love. Although he actually always says, "Dude, you want to go with fuel mileage cars. You want smaller engines." Because you need that fuel mileage because of everything you lose in the pits. So even if we took our factory stocks out there, they may work and we may be fast, but we would do so terrible on fuel mileage that it wouldn't be worth it.
Yeah.
We'd be getting our butts kicked by Miatas. He actually got to race for the first time since he was diagnosed with leukemia. I want to say it was the past weekend or two. I'll have to check in. I'm a terrible friend. I apologize, Aaron.
But I want to do the top 10 for the 4-cylinder race. It was won by Brian Moore. It was won by Brian Moyer. Second was Mike Bentley. Third was Chris Rose. 4 was Clay Wallenring. 5th was Phil Levering, which Phil is a very good Enduro racer. 6 was Dan Rogers. 7 was Gary Grimm. 8 was Vinny Wenrick. 9th was Ricky Weaver, and 10th was Jeremy Krause. Then the main race of the night was this junk car race they have every year up there. They had 27 cars for it, so it was pretty cool seeing 27 cars out on a 5th-mile dirt track.
Oh
it was won by Phil Levering. Second was John Rose. Third was Mike Bentley. 4th was Kevin Schaefer. 5th was Adam Kratzer. 6th was Richard Kirshner. Tim, you know that last name, Kirshner.
Yeah.
He's related to Barry Kirshner. This guy does demolition derbies. He runs the 662 where Barry always ran the number 100. Josh, this is something cool the Pennsylvania guys do.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned this a long time ago. A lot of these guys live on state roads like, Route 100, like I live on Route 571. They use that for their car number. If they live on Route 100, their car number is 100. This guy lives on Route 662. So his car number is 662. He does. He's a big name in the demolition derby, so it was cool to see him racing in the junk car race.
Did you talk to him?
No, because I didn't notice it until I sat in the grandstands and watched the race. I'm like, oh, there's a Kirshner. I have talked to him at demolition derbies, but I didn't talk to him this night. 7th was Bob Wink with my receiver that made me wait an hour. 8th was Jeff Sheets. 9 was Brian Moyer, and 10th was Scott Lord. So they had 27 cars. It was a good little race for something they just threw together. It was a fun night up there. I just wanted to mention that a little bit.
I gotta join you for one of these random excursions out to an Enduro race, and then I gotta get you to fix my car for me.
One thing I wanted to mention, Scott, and if we talked about this, I don't remember it, or if I heard about it, I don't remember it. They said that over the loudspeaker Saturday that Candy Coffee passed away. Did you hear anything
did
about
she really?
that? Yeah,
no, I didn't hear anything about that. Maybe ask Aunt Kathy, Tim, because she's friends with Aunt Kathy. And when Aunt Kathy would go to South Carolina to see Glenn and Opal, Candy Coffee used to pick her up at the airport because Candy Coffee lived in South Carolina now.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear that, and I'm sorry.
I tell you what, it kind of makes sense to me because the last few years she lost her son and her husband, and she's kind of been depressed over it. So usually that happens, when you lose a couple loved ones, you kind of lose the will to live a little bit,
Yeah. No, Josh, you don't know she used to sell the tires for the street stock at Wall Stadium, and
when they were the Cal Cities.
And she was a racer too. She raced back in the day.
Yeah, she raced powder puffs. Plus, she raced in the regular divisions in the modern stocks back in the day with my father, and she was one of the original women racers in New Jersey.
Well, I mean, that's awesome about her. It's a shame that, to hear her passing.
Yeah, no, I didn't hear that, Tim. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing the show down like that.
Oh, my God.
All right, guys, that's all I got. You want to do what have we learned?
I did want to. I didn't hear from Rick Patterson, and I'm going to try to give him a call tomorrow. I hope. But I did not see a Ferris wheel at the Daytona races.
I didn't see much of anything at Daytona.
We have Lee Allen reports.
He finished 6th. Lee Allen finished 6th.
I didn't.
Harry Houdini finished second, I meant to mention that last week, Josh, when you did the results for the rookie sportsman,
Right.
Harry Houdini magically disappeared last week. He wasn't in the results.
Oh wow.
Uh,
He escaped the results last week. This
did you
week he was second.
Did you know that Harry Houdini and his wife he told her a code word that if he ever died and like a Swami come to say that he could
Yeah,
contact.
and he proved that they're liars because
Yeah, nobody knows the word.
nobody knows it. He wanted to prove that these medium people are fakes, and he gave her a code word, and he wanted her to go to every psychic and medium across the country and to get
And
that
see
guy to
which
tell
one
her
was
the
real.
code word,
Yeah.
and they were never able to do it. On a side note, Tim, if you guys, what's that other show you guys do? The Creepy Guys Corner or whatever?
Thanks. Thanks.
Post Malone is on Joe Rogan's podcast. Tim, you might want to check it out. I know you're a big Post Malone fan. You even have a Post Malone concert T-shirt. But he's very into haunted houses. He's very into Bigfoot, and the whole show is them talking about it. And he even bought like a haunted house because he's so into it, Post Malone, you know. And Joe Rogan had a pretty good angle on that there's no such thing as ghosts in haunted houses and stuff like that. He said it's just your mind playing tricks on you. And his theory is you can sit on a beach all day long, thousands of people, never see a ghost. You go on that same beach at 3 a.m. after partying all night. Well, now you're seeing ghosts and hearing weird noises and seeing pirate ships. He's like, you can sit in your house all day long and never see a ghost all day long, but in the middle of the night you hear doors slamming and windows opening and stuff like that. That's Joe Rogan's theory. It's just your mind playing tricks on you when you're tired.
There's more power at night for the souls to be able to do that.
Actually,
if you want to review and recommendations, check out Joe Rogan's podcast with.
Joe Rogan's
but it's very long. It's 4 hours long, and they're high on mushrooms while they're doing the show.
Yeah, he's always high. You know what else is really big into that is Dan Aykroyd's huge into the paranormal.
Dan Aykroyd actually has Nancy drinks it. I forget it's a vodka or something.
Skull. He's got a skull on it, right?
Yeah, the bottle's a skull head, and it's something to do with like when the aliens came down or something.
It's the skulls in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Actually, it's funny. I was gonna bring it up after we finished, but there was a camping YouTube channel. The guy's name is Steve Wallace. Not like Rusty Wallace, but like Wallis, and he's like the Bob Ross of camping. Like he's really mellow, really just enjoyable to listen to and watch. I have the audio recorded from it. He told a story back in his boondocking days of whether he's like I don't know what it was, and he just told the story of something banging on his camper or whatever. And I was like, well, I'm gonna reach out to him and get permission to use that audio. And I really want to get on making another episode with Tim, hopefully this week.
Joe Rogan also talks about a movie that Bobcat Goldthwait did about Bigfoot. It's called Willow Creek. I haven't been able to find it anywhere, but they said that's an awesome movie. I want to watch that.
I haven't even heard of it, but Willow Creek?
Yeah, check out Willow Creek. It's Bobcat Goldthwait. You remember the old comedian from the Police Academy movies?
Okay.
He's big into Bigfoot, yeah.
He's huge into Bigfoot, and he made a movie, and they said it's kind of filmed like the Blair Witch Project from from like that angle, and they said it's really scary. It's I guess they find a Bigfoot and he attacks them or whatever,
I'll watch it. I mean,
yeah.
I've watched plenty of crappy movies, so I'm up for.
All right, guys, I gotta get going. So if you want to do a quick what have we learned?
Yeah, I'm sorry. We're heading down the wrong road. I was looking for Bridgeport stuff, but yeah. Oh well. All right. So Tim, what have you learned today?
I learned my brother completely blew me off on my birthday on purpose.
I'm sure you had a lot of people over there congratulating.
Which is okay because he never bought me a damn thing on my birthday anyhow. So. Oh, no, that's really it. I didn't learn anything on the show.
Unfortunately, I learned that Candy Coffee passed away, which is sad to hear.
Anything else, Scott?
I learned Kona coffee at a dirty truck stop's pretty good coffee.
I'm gonna try.
Josh, you had like these little homemade like pecan pies and stuff like that, and they looked real good. And then when I walked over to them, they were like all melted and like, they're in the saran wrap and like all, they're all like sticky and gooey. I'm like, yeah, I'll pass.
Dude, it sounded really good, and then you made it. Yeah. I think I just had the same experience you had. Jeez. All right. So today I learned that Derek got the flim flam. I learned that every track should have pierogies. I learned that the kid should be able to show the pig. And I learned that sometimes you just got to go for it. So, yeah, that's everything I got. I'm sorry.
Are the modifieds off at Wall Stadium this week?
Yes, the modifieds are off this week coming up.
It's up to the sportsmen to bring out the yellows.
Josh said that, not me. All right, guys. So this wraps up episode 181 of the RPM podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Go to
Good night,
Wall.
everyone.
We'll see you next week.
You going to tell us to wash our hands or what?
Wash your hands.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Night.